I must be very humble that I never thought I was carving an niche for myself until I saw this documentation and the type of work that I've done. It's quite amazing that when you are charting a course, you may not know the consequences of it. But at a given point in time, when you take a retrospective effect of whatever you have done, it gives you that feeling of fulfillment. Because back for me, where would most of these thoughts start for me? ACN, when it came to Augustus, it was even difficult giving him selection for a game because of the height. But we saw that the boy was determined. He had certain salient qualities that other players did not have. So we encouraged him. It got to a point that the headmaster of the school, Mr. Kumsin Banks, stated that if all members of Augustus were to do their duties just like Matthew Amwa, would have been a perfect school. Because Matthew was banging in the goals anytime we put him on board. And I wasn't surprised when they climbed to the top. Back to Tabayu, it was by default that I found myself in football. Because I'm an investment banker. What will you be doing in football? I quite remember when we closed our first deal on Yahya Mohammed, when we went to OGC News. One of the immigration officers asked me, what is an investment banker doing in football? I equipped and asked, it's all about investment. I'm in here to make good money. And I've turned things around to ensure that I don't only promote football, I make good money out of football.
A man who has spoken, please take a seat, Palmer, about to see the policy document for the very first time. But before he does so, he will sign a ball, an autograph. I hope I'm the one catching this. All right, Palmer. Oh! It went straight to the third row. All right, so please, ladies and gentlemen, please hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about seeing for the first time the policy document, handwritten, prepared by Wilfred Osei Kweku Palmer. Officially Palmer. We declare this document officially launched. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has
Start with our scripted version of my lunch, and that will mean that I will not observe the protocol before I do that. The reason is simple. I'm quite gratified by the fact that many people have been able to make it to this session for varied reasons. It could be due to the fact that you wanted to come and show personal love that you have for Palmer. I'm most grateful for that. Yeah, I'm most grateful for that. Others are here because of the policy document. I'm also grateful for that, because if I could get you out of your busy schedule to come to Alisa and listen to what we have in the policy document, it's quite gratifying. It could also be the fact that you have varied interests in Ghana football. That is what has brought you here. That one, I'm also grateful for that. Because if football is organized in the manner that we all think, it will build a kind of environment that we are all pleased, especially looking at the new democracy that we want to imbibe into our body politics of football. It's a new democracy in the sense that Almost all my other contestants are launching their manifestos. And to me, it's the best way forward for Ghana football. Masters level, it's my record. I want people to harp on it so that we deviate from the norm where smear campaigns are conducted and really stick to the issues. That is the way to build democracy. When I put up an issue, a policy, or strategic intent, and you have an alternative, come up with the alternative, rather than attacking Don Kweku Palmer as the messenger. That will not that will not edge us forward. This is the beautiful way to build a democracy that we are all nurturing, and we must all accept the challenge to come and contest ideas, to come and contribute to the upliftment of Ghana football, because Mother Ghana needs that, rather than to engage in smear campaign. Oh, Palmer Wayesi, Palmer Wayasa, Palmer Danajo, Palmer Sorianopa. No, that is not the issue. Come and contest these elections based on your record. I've served in the capacity of a finance committee chairman for 2 consecutive times. That is not mean an achievement. I endeared myself to the extent that when all the auditing firms that handle the FA's accounts, KPMG and PIWC, they never found anything unhealthy about the accounts of the Ghana Football Association. That is the record that I want you to have. So I'll finish with my unscripted aspect of the statement. Let me stick to the issues now.
Hold it.
Okay. I'll be flipping with it here. There's no problem there. Why do we call a document policy document? It's a marked distinction between what other contestants are unveiling, that is manifesto and policy document. The football environment is highly regulated. Highly regulated in the sense that everything in terms of policies, in terms of strategic intent that we have imbibed in this document will have to be subjected to congressional approval. Congressional approval is very important. We may have good intent, but if Congress decides otherwise, so be it. So we have put in place strategic intent, and we don't intend to call it manifesto, because we are not there to implement what we want, but it will only be what Congress wishes the football direction to be. That is how come we have captioned this as what? As a policy document. So you know the mark distinction. I don't want to entangle myself in any semantics, but the fact is that this is a policy document and not a manifesto. So anytime you are referring to the Palmer team, please refer to this as the word, as the policy document and not a manifesto. I hope that is clear. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I would like us to put football in a perspective that some may be sour, some may be very, very interesting for all of us to grasp. By this, I mean, we refer to the era that I was part of, that is during the Kwesi Nyantakyi era. We went as far as Cape Coast to organize a summit. And the intention was that we wanted to reform Ghana football. So reform was on the agenda. When Anas expose was shown June 6th, 2018, it brought football to its knees. What was important in terms of lessons learned out of the Anas's expose was that Ghana football will have to be reformed. So reform has never been out of the agenda of Ghana football. Normalization Committee, per FIFA Article 8, also took over. And the drive was what? Reforms. That is what motivated and pushed our campaign team to adapt the theme of our policy statement as well, reforming Ghana football. Nothing but reforms, because it's only reforms that can change the face of Ghana football. it may interest you to know that before we can do diligent work on the reforms to be embarked upon, there will be the need for us to put things in perspective. And that is what has warranted or what has occasioned the introduction of reforms into the game of football. Is very important. The architects will refer to it as there were structural defects. Structural defect means the foundations were not well laid. And for that matter, there is the need for corrective action or remedial action to be taken in order to advance the course of Ghana football. That is very key. What were some of these structural defects? Some of these defects were systemic. The organogram of the FA could be part of it. Policies of the FA could be part of it. So we had systemic defects. Others were procedural by way of even the way we give award decisions at the FA. We had issues with it. Everybody would grumble over it. So we don't like this ruling. People are not treating us well. So we had procedural issues. Others were regulatory because you take the laws governing our game, and there are a lot of ambiguities. One aspect is saying this, another aspect is saying that, and at a point, you are caught in the quagmire as to which direction to go. So we had regulatory issues or defects. Some were administrative. Do we have an approval process? Do we have compliance and auditing? Do we have the bare bones, the bare structures to see to the day-to-day running of the FA? So it also occasioned another defect. We have operational issues. When we talk of operational issues with regard to football, it basically centers around the various competitions that we organize. Were they properly organized? At a point, you organize the competition, and when you are especially at Division 1, oh, I've survived the league, only to realize that in about 3 weeks or 5 weeks' time, another ruling will come, and tsunami will take you to division, a lower division, that is Division 2. So we had operational issues. If some of the issues we're having were systemic, they were procedural, they were administrative, they were operational, then it may interest you to know that are we just going to reform for the sake of it, or there will be the need for us to go beyond our capabilities? There is the urgent need for what we call monumental reforms. Reforms that we all cherish at a given point in time when we take a retrospective effect of whatever we've done over the period. It's very crucial. Monumental reforms, not to just scratch the surface. Just like having stomach upset. You go and put plaster on it, you will not be able to cure it. There will be the need for you to do something deeper than just putting plaster on your tummy. So we say monumental reforms. The monumental reforms puts all of us in a certain situation. And that situation is that when I'm here to deliver maybe a political manifesto or campaign, if let's say I'm contesting for the general elections in Ghana, and I come here and have discussions with you, and I don't say anything about education, I fail to say anything about health, I fail to say my policy direction with regard to tourism, our roads network here and there, it simply means I've not touched what we call the bare bones. So in football, we speak our own language. And the language revolves around 8 key pillars that you can never discuss football. Jerry, you can never discuss football without touching on these bare bones. What are the bare bones that we are referring to? I cannot close this session without touching on what we call football development. Football is all about development. When we go to the nitty-gritty of it, I will explain what we mean by development, but you can only talk of football development. You can talk of commercialization, you can talk of competitions. These are the bare bones that we are mentioning. governance and administration. You can talk of infrastructure. Because without infrastructure, we cannot have football. I hope I'm making headway. I don't want to say I'm making sense. You can talk of safety and security. Even the recent normalization competitions were characterized with violence issues. So before we take up, there will be the need for us to look at our safety and security and how we can modify it to suit our current circumstances or our circumstances. You can also talk of commercialization. So I've mentioned commercialization. You can talk of financial resources. If you don't have the money, there is no way you can organize a decent league. So we need to create innovative ways, re-engineer the way we are going to raise money to fund the projects that the FA will earmark going forward. Having done all these things, that is where you go to Oloboi Kofi Menu's domain. You need the regulatory framework. So you have to redefine and re-regulate the laws to back the reforms that you have introduced. Because within the administrative wing, you may propose certain things that you will need congressional approval. So before you go to Congress and you table that motion, there's a need for you to rationalize it. And so we say that the 8 bare bones includes what we call re-regulation. You have to re-regulate the sector. One country that has imbibed this and they are doing well in Africa. I don't want to bring South Africa. If we talk of South Africa, they are already up there because, I mean, the standards are quite high. If you want to even go and learn best practices, the best way to go is South Africa. But those within our level, Uganda making enough grounds in terms of UEFA sponsorship, in terms of what FIFA is giving them, we much nowhere near them. Ghana, it may interest you to know that we've never assessed what we call the investment capital aspect of the FIFA Forward program. We always make do with the recurrent aspect where we are giving about $550,000. Yet on annual basis, we were losing $750. Now it's moved from 1.250 to what? To $1.5 million on annual basis. On annual basis. So all these things will have to be done to more or less advance the cause of football. Now, I want to take on sectorial basis, on pillar basis, some of the challenges that we have been facing. We have one structured pathway in youth development. When you come to Tema Youth, the way we develop our youth are quite different from when you go to WAFA. WAFA will put them, I don't want to describe, in a very confined community where these boys eat, drink, sleep, everything about football. But Tema Youth, they will come, train in the morning, go home, and return the next day. It's the same with what my colleagues in Amidas. Talent identification process is tainted with bias selection. A player will come, you will see that this boy is multi-talented, yet because he doesn't know the people involved in the selection process, they are not selected. Eko Benson, before we had him, had been to Power FC Sportive. So when they came, I looked at this, so I could maybe one reject to us. I couldn't believe it. When we took Eko Benson 2 years down the line, Eko Benson was featuring for the Black Stars against Brazil. So when my counterpart, Samuel Williams, called me, say, Mama Yako, no, really, that is not the issue. The issue here is that what people rejected, we have been able to give life to it and giving future to the players. For inadequate funds, I don't have to go beyond that because Kudi Babu, we don't have the money to push this, and to me it's very crucial. In the youth development, cheating and alterations of biodata has been wahala for all of us. At the U17 level, that is where you will learn new tricks when it comes to cheating. Excuse me. We had a player, he came with a passport 96, club license 96. He went through the MRI. Subsequently, when the 96 group failed, he came back with a 98 passport
98 license, and he also went through the MI. We are about pushing the documents to CAF when we realized that, hey, trouble yazo. So we had to quickly, excuse me, we had to quickly call for the records and rescind our decision for submitting it. If that had not been the case, that one, it's straight protest. There's no way we could have survived it, because we'll be deemed to have deliberately and forcefully take the records of the player without the administrators knowing it. The last bit of it, in terms of the problems that we are facing, in terms of youth development, is there is no identifiable style of play. Nana will always tell you, what is the style of play? Is it samba or is it agro? We don't have it. So you go to the national teams, what those within the lower ranks are doing are quite distinctive from what others are doing at a different level. And you ask yourself, in terms of level of progression or transitional period, how would these people be able to understand each other going forward? Some, after under 17, they'll come and conduct a new program for the under 20. And the question is that, so those we took for the under 17, what happened? Because one coach will say that I wouldn't like to continue with what Thunder has started in order for me to give glory to Thunder. So by way of exercising that right, they drop an entire squad and also start with a new program. It doesn't help us in terms of our level of progression with youth development. We have another segment, governance and administration. This is another hurdle or factor that is militating against the growth of football in the country. The first issue is that tainted corporate image as a result of perceived corruption. At times, you don't feel comfortable working in the image as an administrator. There was a time we went to Kumasi to play a game, I think the Congo game. I went to Anochi to visit a friend. Just as I was exiting, the security guard said, Masa, why do you do for me, mommy? Oh. Meanwhile, this was a trip I paid for my air transport. Me, when I go to such places, I don't like the Abrofre Biane. So what I do is that my locals. So I'll be sleeping in Golden Tulip. But it's only where I lay my stubborn head. But in terms of my fufu, don't go there. I'll go for my fufu. So virtually sponsoring myself, that I'm being perceived to have received money from the government sources or authorities. So we have that tainted image that we need to repair. We need to engage in what we call image enhancing drive, so that at the end of it, we'll all be proud to be part of the football industry. We all lack requisite personnel, both at the micro level, that is the clubs, and at the macro level, that is at the FA. Do the clubs have requisite personnel to drive their policies? It's totally non-existent. It is totally non-existent. So the fact is that we need the men when it comes to the development of the game. It's very key and important. We need the men who deliver the project for us. We don't have them both at the FA level and at the club level. We need to build capacity if we really want to project forward. The organogram, as presently structured, does not augur well for checks and balances. There is no delegation of responsibilities. The structure will be there. When the executives travel outside the country, we travel with the business in our pocket. Committees will sit. Allowances are not paid. People who go on national assignment, emoluments are not paid. It will have to change. We need to put in place proper structures, systems and procedures, that it doesn't have to take me, Palmer, to change, to come and sign a check before about 5,000 Ghana cedis is paid. There's a need for us to give a threshold for the secretariat and other officers to deal with it. I don't always have to more or less micromanage the FA. The structures of the FA must be made to work. When we have compliance and auditing, they have to work. They have to do their inspection before we move on. The ineffective leakages between the FA, that is the GFA, and the RFAs. People tend to frown at the RFAs. The general perception here is that RFAs have been inactive. I laugh it off. Garbage in, garbage out. If really you want the RFAs to be functional, there will be the need for you to institutionalize measures that will get them active. You don't create a system and you expect the system to re-originate itself and work naturally. There will be the need for you to put the dots on the I's and cross the T's. So how do we intend to let it work? We have licenses being issued. RFA will have to move all the way from Bolaga to Accra and have their licenses processed. Is that the way we want things to go? A club has to pay for, let's say, yellow cards or questionable, offenses. That person will have to move all the way to Accra. Will it not be prime and proper for the RFA to receive something of this nature and later on remit the cash to the FA? And to me, the beauty of it is that with regard to the licensing, the moment they finish with the processing, RFA keeps 40% and they remit 60% of the processing fee to the headquarters. When they return the 40%, what will they use it? They will use it to build capacity at the RFA level. All we require from them is for them to submit quarterly, monthly, or regular reports to the FA. That is the kind of linkage or the bond that will have to be created. We always have human and vehicular congestion at the FA. You go there at times, when they call you one chairman, if you don't take time, something will have to fall. Another chairman, something will have to fall. So when you are getting closer to the GFA, you are scared. Is that the way we want things to go? When you go to FIFA's secretariat, you may not even meet human beings moving. It's quiet, very sound, it's business. We go there to do business. But GFA, you go there and you are inundated with a lot of people moving around. And any mention of chairman, your pocket will have to drop. Unstructured compensation and emoluments. We have not structured our emoluments and compensation. People join the FA, it doesn't matter whether the person has a certain number of years training or experience. They take the same pay as somebody who has been there for several years. Is that the way to go? Every organization, there's a basic entry requirement in terms of what to earn. What we earn as executive council or executive committee members has always been a brouhaha matter. Hey, they've taken $15,000. They've taken. I'm quite sure when normalization took over, at least you've seen that we're dealing with conservative figures. We're dealing with conservative figures. The fact of the matter is that every person in football, every stakeholder in football will have to understand that when I offer my services at the executive council level, I need to earn something. But that should be made public. That is transparency. We are here. I'm supposed to earn maybe 10,000 or 5,000 or 2,000 Ghana cedis at the end of every month. It's known to everybody. It's not that, oh, when we go there, then we go and approve something, then it will become a whole hell of an issue. And when Todd sees me, because he is thinking that Palmer is pocketing about 15,000, then it turns into another matter. No such wahala. Everything will have to be explained right from the onset, so that we all get fair understanding of exactly how the emoluments will go. This is my area that I enjoy very much. That is finance. Schedule behind you. At a point when you don't even know how to make money or enjoy money, when you even receive the money, you will not know how to use it. So cockroaches will come for it. Cockroaches will come for it. The FA has had a lot of issues with regard to finance. And I remember a young lawyer that we are very close, Selassie Adika, told me, Palmer, somebody is selling granite and is making money. You are selling the passion of the nation. Nana, you are selling the passion of the nation. Football will be our pen. You are still struggling to make money. It doesn't have to happen. So we are of the view that there should be innovative and creative ideas to raise money. We are where we are because of one, budgeting and budgetary control techniques. Do we spend according to budgets? No. You'll be there. We buy out of what? Impulse. Oh, I did a condom. No. Proper organizations are not managed in that manner. It has to go through an audit trail. It goes to the audit and compliance. They will have to verify whether this was in our budget. So they will make references to the finance committee budget, and finance committee will have to answer whether they have approved of such a budget before it goes. As and when we start implementing this budgeting and budgetary control, we will get to a certain point that every amount expended, be it capital expenditure or recurrent expenditure, will go by the budget. Lack of accountability to establish the audit trail. Transactions are conducted in terms of proper documentation, what we call evidential proof or source documents. We tend to lack them at the FA. Somebody who will pick the account should be able to track down on how the transaction started and how it flowed and where it ended. The audit trail will have to be followed. This is how proper institutions go about their businesses. So that, like what I do at Tema Youth. I sign check, I go somewhere, I say, how much do you earn? So, that is not the way to go. So if we are a club and you want to point to the FA chairman to say that FA chairman, be accountable within your own body politics of your small corner club, try and achieve accountability for all of us to see. So that when you come and say, oh, even Hasselfolk, we don't do what the FA is doing. You will be on a very sound grounding in such discussions. We also have weaknesses in the internal control processes. This is everywhere. Everywhere you go, when auditors come to do their job, they will surely point out to certain internal control procedures that must be corrected going forward. But people who are unlettered in the account or finance area, the moment these issues are flagged, they become alarmed and start reporting in a certain manner. Akwane this go with this go. Something may look irregular, but it's regular in the financial sense, and that is very key. Lack of independence of the finance committee. Finance committees and audit committees must be allowed to work. It's very key. You cannot more or less micromanage the finance committee. When you check what happens at the FIFA level, their accounts are signed by the chairman of the finance committee, because the company laws are very strict on this, that all accounts or financial statements must be signed by the directors of the company. But if you get to the FA, we are having Ishmael signing our balance sheet. Ishmael is not a director of the company. It raises issues in terms of the law. Complete disregard to reporting standards and practices that enforce what we call transparency. Infrastructure development. Minister of Youth and Sports has gone on overdrive in terms of infrastructure development. This is an exercise that the FA will have to back the ministry. If we were at the helm of affairs, I would have accompanied the minister in most of these projects in terms of the inspection. Because at the end of it all, who is going to benefit from the use of these facilities? It's the sporting fraternity that will benefit. And football, being the #1 sport in the country, will surely benefit from that. So we need to begin to create these infrastructure. It's because of the fact that we have not more or less emphasized on what we call the club licensing system to ensure that certain basic infrastructure are owned by clubs or are constructed by clubs. And when we turn to international competitions, we tend to struggle. We wait last minute. They will say, we don't have this. You need a doping test room. You need this. That is not the way for us to go. Let us make sure that since we have accepted to play football at a certain level, let us embrace the concept of club licensing. It will help all of us. Lack of maintenance culture. Except South Africa. All the other African, I've not been to Egypt. So when I say except South Africa, you should understand me. All the other African countries, maintenance culture, poor. You get to Accra Sports Stadium, and if you want to use the washroom, massa, you have to squeeze your face. Maybe go and hide somewhere. At a point, you are a big man, but if you don't take time, you go and do the thing at a place that is unapproved. Because the conditions at the washroom are not good. But in South Africa, oh, the family, somebody will come with their wife to observe a game. During the recess, there's a buffet dinner. Proper buffet. Oh. Proper. That's how longest. Proper buffet. Oh, buffet me. So, anytime you tell the wife that, oh, and that game will hold, your wife will follow you. When we have such facilities constructed, it also gives credence to business development. Because you may bring on board a CEO that you have been courting over a given period of time, give that person a hospitality package, that person gets to Kumasi Sports Stadium, you treat the person to buffet dinner, at the end of it all, you'll be able to get the sponsorship that you are looking for. So all these nitty-gritty of it, we need to add in order to promote the aspect of what? Infrastructure. Pressure on the facilities, that is obvious. If you don't take time, you have to go and wait for about 10 minutes. And if the waiting period is not favorable, the obvious can happen. Individual football teams have placed less emphasis on the club license system. It's a fact. When you ask us a question, do you have a pitch for this training? You will definitely take yes. Meanwhile, you don't have it. It's just that you are playing by the questionnaire to ensure that the questionnaire will qualify you to be accepted under the club licensing regime. But in actual fact, you don't qualify. On safety and security, it's very key. During the tour protocol, we got stuck. We got stuck at the end of the game. And for about 1 hour, we were trying to gravitate ourselves outside the stadium. The question that triggered was that if there is an emergency, where will this ambulance be? Where will it be going? Because the place is choked. So what is done in advanced jurisdiction is that within the precincts of the inner perimeter, there is safety and security. Within the stadium itself, there is safety and security in terms of how vehicles are going to move should we close the gate. So within 30 minutes in Europe, you are out of the stadium. And let's even look at the numbers that they are dealing with. They will show again 90,000 people in the stadium. Yet they are able to far pass, drive their vehicles outside the stadium. Accra, Wahala is such that somebody one day watched a match between Hearts of Oak and another team. He's an Hearts supporter, Hearts lost the game. This guy walked down, he had his car parked though. He walked down when he was getting close to his house, then he remembered that I parked my car somewhere. The traffic alone will give you Wahala. I will not lie to you. So we say that inadequate security details, that is another factor. You go there and 7 police officers, they are manning such an important game. Will it suffice? No. So we need more police officers on board. If not, we need to train stewards to protect us when we get to the stadium. Lack of equipment to combat violence and match venues. Police will come They don't have the requisite gadgets. How would you be using tear gas in a stadium, especially at the upper terrace that is enclosed? When you put the tear gas there, where do you expect them to run? Because it's to tear them apart. You are dispersing the crowd. But you disperse them, do you want them to fall over and injure themselves? Officer, May 9th, I was there. That is exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. The tear gas that was used was uncalled for. So let the police understand the type of gadgets that they need to use when they come to observe our matches. There is no ticketing committee. So ticketing is chegum. FIFA, CAF, they all deemed it fit that every competition that they organize, there's a ticketing committee. It's for a good intent and purpose. What if you issue tickets beyond the capacity of the stadium? You are creating fear and panic. So we need a ticketing committee at the various competitions that we organize. Perceived poor officiating. Then people will just rush on the referee, keep the referee proper. At the end of it all, you have created violence. That is uncalled for. We also have unavailability of medical personnel. People, especially during tough matches, they tend to work. The heat here and there because there is no medical staff there. Even the records at the club level, we tend to have people who are injured, but we don't have records on them. We need these records so that even during the healing processes of these injured players, there will be something on record to help the medical team to facilitate that. No operational plan before the start of the season or even at the mid-section of the season. There should be the need for a dress rehearsal of how we are going to control security at any point in time. So that when that event happens, we will not be caught pants down. We will still be on our feet. That is the way to go. You don't have to be overtaken by events. You make sure that proper organization is made by dress rehearsing how you keep security. Competitions. There's lack, another pillar, competitions. There's lack of publicity, documentaries, and scheduling of matches. Lack of publicity. We don't publicize our matches. We only go, 3:30, there's a need for us to play this match. That is all. Every club in the country, be it Division 2, be it Division 2, be it Division 1, be it Premiership, they will all be playing at the same time, 3 o'clock. It doesn't even work well for commercialization. Because when I'm coming in to sponsor, and you have a schedule that runs from 10 o'clock to maybe 5 o'clock, as is done in advanced jurisdiction, like EPL. EPL will start somewhere around 11, it will end at what? At 5 o'clock. Do you know what it does for commercialization? You are giving mileage to the sponsor from 10 or the start of the match to the end of the program. And every commercial oriented company will be interested in your matches. We keep on postponing our matches, our competitions. Today, we ask you, let's postpone a match. I'm not feeling well today. We don't have to play the game. Is that the way to go? We need to sound very professional. Let us respect the schedule that we give to our matches. If we say we are playing on this day, let it take off on that day. Pitches are in poor condition. That one I've already touched on it in terms of infrastructure. Low quality kits. Somebody will be wearing jersey. They've written a number by the waist. Basa. How do you expect to derive excitement and delight in such a league? There will be the need. When Hearts unveiled their umbro, it was touching. I got there and I kissed the jersey. Because I love the jersey. Are you getting it? Let us begin to sound professional. We can only sound professional when we are able to kit our players well, when we are able to give them appropriate gear in terms of playing our games. We also have lack of visibility on the part of sponsors. First Capital, I don't know whether they came to dash us money. You move to the respective stadia and there's no visibility. So I said, is this sponsor not interested in the league? Then why did they come to sponsor the league? Are you with me? So you need a situation where you will have a dialogue with the sponsor that we are not bringing you on board just for the money's sake, but how do we make sure that you also derive the commercial content that you are looking for from the matches that you are sponsoring? That is the surest way to go. All these things have been said, and these are the bare bones that I have described. Our team deemed it fit that there will be the need for what we call key performance indicators to actually trigger the kind of reforms that we want to introduce. These key performance indicators must be measurable so that it becomes more or less a signboard. It becomes an agreement between you and myself that, Palmer, this is what we promise to deliver within a certain given interval. So we intentionally made these key performance indicators for you to have something to stand on in terms of what? Asking us to do whatever we task ourselves to do. This is what we intend to do. Should we be given the nod? And should Congress approve these performance indicators? We want to develop and construct the organogram of the FA. We are not only thinking of the administrative organogram, we are also thinking of the political organogram. So that at least this is what we said we would do, and this is what we have done over the period. And as and when we move to that segment, you understand exactly what we mean by the organogram and what we intend to do. We also want to deepen the decentralization processes. The RFAs must work. The RFAs must be accountable. The FA itself must be accountable. There's a need for us to incorporate what we call good corporate governance within the body politics of the FA. So at the end of it all, everybody will be measured by the strength and by what we do at the FA in terms of transparency, in terms of responsibility, in terms of accountability, and exactly what we do at the FA. We need to build formidable brands in terms of our national teams. The national teams must be globally competitive to the extent that we don't only enter into a competition, but we make sure that when we enter into that competition, we'll get up to quite an appreciable level, probably semi-finals at least, or to the final system, or probably win the cup. That is exactly what we'll do. And as Osei brought in its wake certain issues at the refereeing department, refereeing aspect of our game. There will be the need for us to introduce what we call the refereeing department, well equipped with audiovisual aids. They will go through peer review. They will recruit the referees at a very tender age, and at the end of it all, we'll have a good instructor. They need to work together with the referees committee that Randy Abe used to be the chairman. When you have that, the manager, the referees manager, will be a secretary to the referees committee, so that in terms of records at the FA secretariat, the referees department or the manager will be able to enforce some of the issues that are discussed there. We need to sanitize the judicial and adjudicating bodies for them to give equity and fairness. We are of the view that the way issues are handled at the FA in terms of the adjudicating body, if you don't take time, it will make you mad. You will get a ruling, you will go through, and if the mental torture alone can kill you. Because a friend had a similar judgment. When you go, they are giving you a different judgment. You ask yourself, am I so stupid to invest my money? The fact is that when your matter comes before the adjudicating body, we can either give you a single judge to go through it. We can we can panel members to sit at the FA to give you judgment. At a point, we don't even need to add the names of those involved. We say Club A and Club B, and send it to panels who are not seated at one place. At the end of it all, each and everyone will give award decision. Then we'll be able to move it from there. So that at the end of it all, equity and fairness is what we are trying to achieve by that. Want to review the management and funding of all domestic competitions. And as and when we move along, we'll explain that. To achieve incident-free and violence-free at the various match venues by introducing safety and security measures. This one, let me highlight a little, so when I get to the safety and security, I don't have to bother myself a little bit. You know what? We tend to categorize matches into A, B, C, and I ask myself, why that? At a time, Hasen Kotoko may not necessarily be a high-risk match because of the environment, because of how the two teams relate to each other. But House of Lions and Tama Youth may be a high-risk game. So there will be the need for intelligence to be gathered to know, hey, when these people went to Pando, this is what happened. Though. So certainly when they come to Tama will try and what? Seek revenge. So we will have to deploy a grade A or category A security for this particular game. We tend to underrate certain matches, and those matches are very risky for anybody to handle or manage. So there will be the need for that intelligence to be gathered, so that at the end of it all, appropriate security. So we are looking at a flexible type of security in terms of having this. Player development. That is one key that we want to introduce to resolve. And I must say that everybody tends to feel that football is overpumping in the annals of sports in Ghana. We tend to be eat the better part of the cake, and people are not happy with it. I want to stand here and declare that by our youth policy, we want to sustain ourselves as the #1 sport in Ghana. Whatever happens to hockey, basketball at this stage, I don't care. I want to make football as a what? As a #1 sport. And how do you want to go about it? The fact is that by age 6, we need to go to these players. When we go to them, what do? We give them case 5, the small balls, so that they will be kicking around, learning how to play in the certain communities. And we use futsal. When we talk of futsal, it's about those who believe in five-a-side games or 7-a-side games, so that we develop these players within communities. And futsal, they make available about $2 million on an annual basis to develop 5-a-side infrastructure within every community. So that by the time the hockey people will get there, the guy is already having babes or football kids to play. So we will catch these players young. From age 6 to 10, that is the way we want to go to them. We'll go to them with logistics. We will not say that, oh, we don't need school games. And so whatever happens to them, we don't care. So from 6 to 10, that is exactly what we are going to do to catch these players young. So that we will not go at the time that they are holding hockey sticks. The moment you get there, they are going to lash you with a stick. And we don't think that is the best way to go. From age 11 to 15, they will play at the district leagues. Then we will prop them up to play at the regional league by way of selection. That is what we usually refer to as the juvenile or the coach system. We will go for the Milo Championship. We will go for the juvenile championship in order for us to select a core team that will form the basis of the national U15 squad. The reason why we are doing this is that we want our scouting to be comprehensive. If we are able to get them at the U15 level, now when we get to Pram or Accra, we'll do what we call the MRI test on all these players. That is a scientific aspect of it. Maybe my experiences with MRI, nobody would like to even listen to what we went through at that level. It's a canker. If you don't take time, it will give you problems. But at that age 15, we need to know which grade of a player we are dealing with, so that you will not be able to put a player at pram, feed that player for 2 years, only to go and conduct MRI at the very tail end of it, and that will not help us. Then when they move to age 18 and 20, this is the time they begin to sign contracts. We will indulge PFAG to assist these players, so that when they sign the contracts, they will understand the nitty-gritty of why they are signing those contracts. But most players even sign contracts without knowing exactly their duties or their roles that they have to play in the course of signing this contract. So this will be the youth development policy, and I'm not referring to only the males. We are referring to the female as well, because they all need development in this regard. When we talk of development, coaching is another aspect of it. Do we have proper certification process in place to certify our coaches? You cannot go to Pram, excuse me for my language, for 2 weeks, and you are given a certificate that you are proud of. No. When you go to other jurisdictions, it takes between 1 to 4 years for you to get about a grade A license. So there is a need for us to add credibility to the type of certificates that are issued to our coaches. Former players who have played for the national team will have to be given exemptions as and when they move forward. Graduates of Cape Coast University, the Hyper Division, and Winneba will have to be given exceptions for them to what? To advance to maybe certificate B. There will be the need for a whole curriculum to be evolved to deal with this. We have program for developmental coaches. The developmental coaches are going to have about certificate C, and they will be within the district or the regional level to coach the young up-and-coming players in order for them to teach them the fundamentals of the game or the rudiments of the game. For the national team coaches, we are going to interview everybody. It's not only the Black Stars coach that must be interviewed. We need to take them through proper interviewing process, so that everybody who is appointed as the national team coach will do that on merit. We don't believe in a situation where, when Opema Sempa, so you, my friend, take the under 17. The moment you go by this, in this banner, you are creating social businesses for others. That will not help us. And all our national team coaches, we would like to attach them to various teams outside. It could be national teams. We can also go for cooperation agreement with other jurisdictions like UK, Germany, for them to go undergo certain training or upgrade themselves. In our last expose, about over 80 referees were cited. This does not augur well for the game going forward. So what we intend to create is to have the refereeing department and take a paradigm shift from where we're having a welfare body virtually recruiting, training, and placing these referees. It doesn't help. They see football as a hobby if you employ them through that. So the FA will have a department that will employ these referees and give them badges. We will grade the referees, and I must say that this aspect of it, we are not going to sacrifice it for any reason. We'll go for them at a very tender age of about 15. And the reason why, when you always look at international matches, you don't find Ghanaian referees in them, is that they don't start early in Ghana. And by the time they will get to the elitist level of refereeing in Africa, they are on their way to what? To retirement. Because by age 28, the person should have the FIFA badge. So within 35, the person is a full-blown mosquito who can handle matches at that level. So that when it comes to the selection processes at CAF, they will not be found wanting. So we need to help our referees to also upgrade. There is this thing that we need to do. We call it early warning signs. We will institutionalize an award scheme for any referee who will be able to be a whistleblower. That, oh, you come with recording, so you don't come with just talk. If I don't like Mr. Dunfe, I'll say Mr. Dunfe said no. You come with concrete evidence. The moment you provide that concrete evidence, the FA will establish an award of about 20,000 Ghana cedis. That will encourage these referees to report those team officials who make advances at them. To us, that is the surest way to go, so that cheating and all those things will be something of the past. Okay. Let me do this. Let me do this before I finish. All these things, the 8 pillars we have mentioned, each and every aspect will be turned into a manual. So that when it comes to youth development, we'll have a whole committee sitting in Congress to diagnose how our youth development should go. Then we create a manual or operating manual out of that. If we come to safety and security, there will be another manual out of that. But we'll have another committee known as the Reform Implementation Committee. They will monitor, they will evaluate the policies that we have put in there to ensure that we are on time, all the milestones are being achieved. It's very crucial, because if you don't have any committee monitoring and evaluating these processes, there's no way we are going to get there. When we go to Congress, the first approach, before I come to Congress, the first approach will be to meet various stakeholders, journalists, lawyers, ministries, MDAs, yet will meet at a place, and all we'll do is to discuss football. The reason we want to be in that cage is for us to brainstorm on the way forward with regard to Ghana football. And every contribution will be taken on board to develop this document. We need the entire community, that is Ghana, to own the policy document that we have been able to evolve. If there are any changes that are proposed in terms of this stakeholders meeting or the retreat, we will incorporate them in our report so that we have a complete document for Congress. When we move to Congress, we want Congress to own the document. So we'll go there, go in our fragmented groups, discuss them. When we are done, then we will approve of the respective manuals to be given. So I thank you all for coming.